Hello and welcome to Garden Planning with a Biodynamic Moon Calendar for October 2024. My name is Katrina Wolff. My business is Blue Borage, and for the last 18 months or so, I have done a Garden by the Moon calendar update here on YouTube. And this month I have changed things up a little bit, simplified it. So there is still the monthly garden planning tool, which you can download from my website. There'll be a link below the video. But just for my own garden, the last, I don't know, I think it's been about 6 months, I've realized that there is so much work happening out in the community that doesn't really depend on the calendar all that much. That my own garden, I think I've lived here almost 3 years, that I've pretty much got all the garden beds in place. The compost preparations are all being made. It's kind of ticking along quite nicely. So here we are with the simple view. So for a lot of you that just want these key dates, you don't need the fancy PDF that used to take me probably an hour to put together. That things are too busy right now to do that. I can start doing it again if enough people ask for it. But yeah, it's one of those kind of business decisions where I just thought, would I rather volunteer my time at the museum, tidying up the harakeke plants? And I thought, yes, I would rather be out there with hands in the soil than staring at a computer screen. So here are the key dates. We've got full moon Friday the 18th of October, new moon Thursday the 3rd. Moon opposite Saturn happens twice this month, Tuesday the 1st and Monday the 28th. It's the descending period for the middle of the month, from the 10th to the 22nd. But we start the month ascending 1st to the 10th, and we end the month in the ascending moon period, 22nd to the 31st. We've got 3 lunar nodes, one on the 3rd, one on the 16th, and the last one on the 30th. So if that is all the information you need to get going, to go and plan your own biodynamic moon calendar tasks, then you can click out of this video and go get going with your planning. What I've put at the bottom here, that's spring. It's a really good time of the year to do a BD 500 stir. That's the horn manure preparation. I try and do it every autumn and every spring. And then I also do the 500 stir when I'm starting to work with a new garden or a new piece of land. It just feels like a beautiful kind of almost like a self-introduction gesture, and a blessing for the land, and kind of like invigorating all the microbes in the soil. So I will do a 500 stir at any time of year with a new property that I start working with. It's also a really nice community activity to get to know the people working in that project. The other activity for spring is to dig up the compost preparations. I've had a wee look at my horns. They're not ready. I also dug up the dandelion preparation and it wasn't ready, and I put it back in the ground thinking, oh, the last time I made dandelion preparation, I completely lost it. Like, it was hard to put it back in the ground. What else have I got? The oak bark preparation that I'm going to dig up, and I should probably take a look at it soonish, but I might leave it till November. And then I've also got some yarrow preparation. I've pulled up the nettle preparation and it's beautiful. And I'm going to put down the next nettle preparation. I've got the team from series coming out here. I think we've picked the date in November, so we'll do that then. On we go with activities from the last month or so. And as we flip through, you'll see, gosh, Katrina, do you even use a moon calendar? So on the left at the top, this is before and after at the Tuako Museum in the Pollinator Garden. With my fascination with flax weaving, the harakeke plant, and this art form of raranga, it's like the museum garden, this harakeke has become the main plant for me, that I just wanted this privet removed. So not removed, but taken down, and it's now all composting right next to where it was growing. And I'm ready to create a sort of a welcome area around that flax. I've been making these woven flowers and using them as markers where the dahlia tubers haven't quite started growing yet, but there's something quite delightful about having, I think there's about 30 different dahlias at the museum garden, and having each one of them sort of marked with a flower made from harakeke. It's kind of bringing these two plants that I love together. This is the most beautiful thing, this picture here. I made at the weekend immersion we had, I think it was 2 weeks ago. And there was a young dad next to me when I showed him that it was finished. I was so happy with it. He just, the look on his face, I was just like, oh, I want you to have one of these. And so I took my hapene tool out of this little cover and I handed it to him and said, I can make another one. I'd like you to have this. And he took it. There is a real sort of culture of giving away the first thing that you make. But yeah, look what I made. The other thing I've made with the harakeke are these really sort of simple baskets. They're called kono that we're learning to make. I use this one as a plant pot with the intention that it be composted. Next development for the month has been more work with Kai Franklin. This is in Pukekohe, so the Franklin Local Board. There is a group of commercial growers. Being the Franklin Food Bowl, there's also a group of people that provide the fertilizers and pesticides and chemicals to those commercial growers. There's also the local board and the sort of town planning that's happening in and around Pukekohe. So I have been to, I think it's 4 of their events now, 3 or 4. The latest one was Eat Street, where I collected another bucket load of food scraps, which is now composting site in my living space in the Pacha compost. The chef's table event that I went to in April, I collected all of these banana leaves that were under the meat dish, made soil. I used worms and turned it into a worm farm for the last couple of months. So I've got, I weighed some worms and then sort of extrapolated the figure out to figure out like how many worms have I got in this 4.5 kilos of worm castings. And by my calculations, I created, or I bred 8,000 worms and 7 kilos of worm castings. And so it's like, what do I do with these worm castings? I want them to foster decentralized composting in the Franklin district. And so I took them along to an event this week. This is Connie Clarkson, who hosts these events, and she has a project called the Kitchen Project, which is basically a business incubation course for for startup foodies or for people bringing a food product to market. And so I gave her this tiny little jar and told her there was much more and that I wanted to do something creative with them. So I think her plan is to use these on a peace lily houseplant. But more and more of them know that I'm quite serious about getting these, the energy of these banana leaves transformed into worm castings to then spread out throughout the Pukekohe town. And I mean, I would just about track down the 100 people that attended this banquet dinner and offer the soil to each one of them. Something else that has been a focus the last few weeks has been my genealogy. This all stemmed from the Huapara Kore study, mostly the Huapara Kore study, where in order to answer the verification question about my own whakapapa, I had to go do some research. At the same time, I was doing nature communication studies, and my teacher Saskia said, "Katrina, you really need to call in more guides to help with this sort of larger landscape healing work." And so she recommended doing the ancestral medicine course with Daniel Four. And part of that was also researching, where are you from? Who are your relatives? Are they well? And so in the process of doing that research, I was on one of the online ancestry pages, and all of the Wolff family records have been, what's the word, entered, looked after? Not sure what the verb is. Anyway, my father's brother is the name associated with all those records. So I reached out to him, I think on this online platform, didn't get an answer. Reached out to him on Facebook, and it was months before he replied. He doesn't use Facebook much. But he was delighted that I was interested, and he sent me all of this information. Basically, he downloaded everything off his computer, sent it in a large WeTransfer file, which I've now uploaded to a Google Drive, shared with my kids, and my two brothers also want the information. And so we're all starting to look into who were our people. Anyway, I won't go into too much detail now. On the left, this is the region of Harz in Germany. So this is where the original Wolves were based, and they were forest rangers. And so yeah, this is starting to explain a lot for me. Sort of the family love of nature and hiking and mountains, and an affinity with big trees and stones. And looking up the Harz region on Wikipedia, there's information about how Goethe traveled there, and there's particular rocks, I'm thinking it's these ones here, that were granted special conservation status back in 1700s, 1800s. I can't remember the exact year. Anyway, it inspired a lot of Goethe's work, which then inspired a lot of Steiner's work. So that the whole kind of connection with biodynamics and anthroposophy, perhaps there is a family connection back to this region of Germany. So now Katrina, who is happy to no longer travel around the world, is suddenly wanting to go and see these rocks in person. Anyway, on with developments here on the farm. We have puppies. This is, oh, I've forgotten this one's name. There are two little puppies. This is Mel, who lives next door in the granny flat, and then my landlords, Marina and Romaric, are in the main house. So Marina and Romaric have a little puppy, and Mel has a little puppy, and the children also have goats for pet day. So there's lots of baby activity on the farm, which is delightful. Something else I've been looking at this month, I did a pop-up workshop in at Puhinui in Wiri, sort of Manukau, South Auckland. And we were talking about composting invasive weeds, and I had a big bucket of weeds, and it was really interesting showing people that these onion weeds, they're actually edible and they're yummy. They make such a delicious pesto. If you let them grow so that the bulbs swell up quite big, you can even pickle the bulbs. So I was joking that they were probably more nutritious than the onions we buy in the supermarket. And I came home and I wanted to check the Brix levels of both supermarket onions and onion weed. So it was really fiddly trying to like extract the juice and I only need a couple of drops on the refractometer, but still juicing onion weed. I juiced the bulby bits, and I had to get quite a handful. So the Brix reading on the onion weed was 20.6. The Brix reading on the supermarket onion was 7.3. And totally different vegetables, so it's not a fair comparison, but I thought it was still really interesting how high the sugar level is in onion weed. Next sweet project, this is coming up in October. I met a local business person at the Tuako Museum. It's Beth Colson of Little Batch Wax Company, and she has a candle subscription. She sends out a beautiful soy candle each month with a seasonal gift. And when she mentioned that this month's gift or October's gift would be wildflower seeds, I just kind of casually said, "Oh, where are you getting the seeds from?" And she was going to get them, I think, from King Seeds. And I was like, "Oh, I'd be happy to supply you with seeds from the pollinator garden at the museum, which is where we were standing." And she just went, "Oh, I have to have these seeds." So she came over. Some of these seeds are from the museum. Some of them are from here at the soil farm. But yeah, I drew the little pictures, and she's going to include some of them as seed pods and some of them as broken up seeds. So cool to think that the museum garden is going to provide seeds for dozens and dozens of wildflower gardens all over New Zealand. So stay tuned on that. Now my online course, Weeds, Wondrous Weeds. This is a real sort of passion of mine, and it feels like spring as everything is growing so profusely. It is a time when home gardeners have a choice to make about what they do with all this vegetation. And a lot of people just aren't ready to leap into a green waste management plan. That I created this free resource, First Steps to Creating a Green Waste Management Plan. And all that I'm asking is that people identify their top 3 invasive plant species. And there's an observation exercise and a planning exercise. It's all for free. It's all in the online course, and it leads nicely into either one-to-one coaching or a consultation, or the online green waste management plan properly. So go take a look at that. I will link in the notes below. Otherwise, I am off to Dunedin soon. It's exam season. Desperately need to fundraise to take some time off to babysit little Hazel. So if you see me online selling more actively than normal, it's because I basically can't afford a holiday and would love to cover all my bills so that I can get away down to the South Island for just a little bit of time. I get quite emotional about how little I get to see little Hazel. So yeah. This is valerian that's growing here at the soil farm. One of my favorite biodynamic herbs for compost preparations, and one that I take with me. It's a plant that I take with me to pop into new customers' gardens. So I just wanted to pop this in here, that if you know anyone who's open to getting started with biodynamics, then this is something that I love helping people with, and they often get a whole heap of companion plants sort of as part of that initial consultation. So if you can send people my way, that's much appreciated. And if you would like help planning your garden planning tasks with the Biodynamic Moon Calendar, please reach out. And there is an appointment link in the notes below the video. But that is it for October. I'm not sure if November will be even simpler and even shorter, or if I'll go back to the PDF download that I had previously. Thanks for listening this far, and have a wonderful month.